everybody, and welcome to Financial Insight. It is a phenomenal day today, and it is phenomenal because we have a very special guest here at Financial Insight. My name is Clarence Chongo, and I would like to welcome you all to the Financial Insight show. Zambia stands at a critical sector in its mining life, with growing demand for copper and other critical minerals. And as the country strengthens its governance frameworks and digitalizes its resource management, transparency and accountability remain key to unlocking sustainable investment and maximizing benefits to all stakeholders. So today we have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. It is Ms. Helen Clark, who is the former Prime Minister of New Zealand and also the board chair for the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. So she's a global leader in promoting open and accountable management of natural resources with decades of experience in governance and international development. She brings valuable insights to Zambia on how Zambia can leverage transparency to strengthen its mining sector and enhance investor confidence and drive sustainable economic growth. Ms. Clark, welcome to Financial Insight and welcome to Zambia.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so diving straight in, you are the board chair for Extractive Industries Transparency International. So before I delve into the substantive questions, I would just like you perhaps to explain who EITI is.
The EITI has been going since the early 2000s, and it was initiated because of concern that so many countries with a very rich mineral or oil and gas endowment weren't getting the returns from it that they should be getting for their citizens and for development because of problems with the governance. Corruption, obviously, and even to this day we see countries suffering from illicit financial flows because the governance isn't good. So the initiative began with the desire to shine a light of transparency on all aspects around extractive sectors, contracts, permits, revenue flows, payments, beneficial ownership, and it's evolved into quite a sophisticated standard which sets the best governance standard for this area. We have around 55 countries implementing the standard. Around half are in Africa, so there's a lot of experience in Africa on how to do this.
Absolutely.
And Zambia is one of the longest standing members. It went through a validation against the standard 4 years ago. It got a very high rating out of that. Yeah. It's coming up for validation again under a new and higher bar standard. Yeah. So obviously everyone needs to step up, but we see Zambia as very serious about the EITI implementation and wanting to do its best at it.
And how does or how can the EITI support Zambia's copper production goals and also its strategies for the critical minerals through governance and transparency reforms?
So we start from the assumption that quality investment comes when the governance is sound. When one speaks to the major international companies, they are acutely aware of risk. And for them, risk lies in corrupt practice, non-transparent practice. They are accountable to shareholders. There's a lot of shareholder activism these days. People want to know where it came from, was it a good operation? Yeah. What damage did it do along the way? Economic, environmental and social safeguards.
Human resource practices.
All of this. So apart from having the countries implementing the EITI standard, we also have supporting companies. And those companies have a company expectations standard which they are assessed against. So it's really about everybody behaving well. Governments behaving well, companies behaving well, and then the civil society as part of the governance arrangement as well.
So how does the EITI support transparency in mining, be it contracts or beneficial ownership, to strengthen investor confidence and accountability? What does that process look like?
So when countries come into the EITI, sometimes they will have a background of disclosing very little.
Mm-hmm.
Some countries have tax confidentiality laws, and they say, "Oh, we can't disclose what taxes."
It's all rather murky and
it's
hidden.
murky. Contracts are murky.
Yeah.
Beneficial ownership's murky. Payments to who for what are murky. And what implementation of the EITI standard does is take away the clouds and put a spotlight on it. So to do well in a validation against the EITI standard, you must disclose revenue payments. You must disclose beneficial ownership. You must disclose contracts. You now disclose costs. You disclose the social and environmental safeguards and payments. So it brings it all out into the open. And part of the objective is to get an informed debate among the public, and the media are very important in this, in looking at the information that's disclosed, analysing and saying, what does it mean for the state of affairs in our country? Now, if I come to Zambia, which has been a low middle income country, I think that may slip a little even because times have been very, very tough. Domestic resource mobilisation is critical. You have incredible mineral wealth. So to get the most from that wealth, you absolutely need full transparency, quality investment, responsible companies, citizens who are engaged and informed. Everything needs to work well.
And since we're media, I think would serve our audiences better if we could explain certain terms. What does beneficial ownership mean? What should we understand by
who
it?
owns this company? Now, let's take a practical example. I understand in Zambia, no one company can have more than 5 licenses. But if we don't really know who owns companies, how do we know that the same people aren't hiding behind other names and labels?
Sure.
So one area for Zambia to improve its legislation and provision on is at the moment the beneficial ownership register isn't being applied systematically to license issuing. You need to be linking the different sorts of information that you have. You know, countries can be in a position where also their revenue collection is telling them one thing, their central bank's telling them another, the company's reports are saying a third, the information the Minerals or Extractives Ministry has is saying a fourth. So the aim is to really get everything on one page so we know what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Here.
Okay, great. And how can Zambia strengthen its effectiveness of the new mining cadastre, like the ZIMIS and the output and evaluation systems, so-called MOSES? How can Zambia go about strengthening those protocols?
For Zambia, it will all be about open disclosure, open processes, no secrecy, companies not hiding behind obscure law. It's going to be about full information, there for media analysis, public debate. The Auditor General needs to have it. One of my other hats is to be a global ambassador for the International Supreme Audit Institution Development Initiative. And we have an event together with them tomorrow in the Zambian Audit Office, because what EITI Zambia produces is highly relevant to the Auditor General.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I would also say that what is disclosed under EITI here in Zambia for the people is highly relevant to Parliament. What is Parliament's role? To hold governments to account. You need information. You need to see the accounts, the reconciliations. So informing parliamentarians about the enormous resource that EITI is and the information it's collecting and what they could do with it is very important.
Great. EITI has made tremendous strides in enhancing public access to data and by launching an online portal. How should government, industry and civil society make use of this platform?
So firstly, the platform is can still be developed quite a lot. A lot more. It needs to be populated.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but it's progress in the right direction. So in the past, the annual reporting of EITI in a country used to be an enormous effort of going through all the paper reports and writing it up and recording it. Actually, in the digital age, so much is online. And you can bring it in through a portal with open access, bring all the sources of information together. So Zambia's on that journey, and it's just a matter of time, I think, before they can do what we call systematic disclosure, where the annual reporting becomes almost a cover sheet to what is actually available online, what is materially disclosed online.
I see. Okay, so the financial statements and annual reports just become like a summary version of information that's already contained
it's
online.
there.
Okay. Great. Well, we understand that you've got a busy schedule ahead of you, so we wouldn't want to take up the whole day, all of your day, even though we would want to. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for sitting with us at Financial Insight.
Thank you very much for your interest in what's happening in extractive sector governments.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This is Ms. Helen Clark, former Prime Minister of New Zealand and now the board chair of Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. My name is Clarence Chongo for Financial Insight. Get to know.